Well, hello, thanks for joining me. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a quick look at the RC-440. Now, I actually bought one of these quirky little things just because I really like my JVC stuff. And although this is a slightly later model than the things I normally like to mess about with, I thought it'd be quite nice just to have the 440. I've got a 660 and a 770, so do check those out as well on the channel. But I thought anyway, let's get one of these little things in. They're not terribly special, to be honest, or indeed terribly collectible. But I just thought, for the sake of completeness, let's feature one on the channel. And so I ordered this one in, and you can see it looks to be in fairly decent condition on the face of it. And the aerial tip is intact. All of the switches and the buttons all seem to work okay. And I thought, yeah, that's going to be great. Let's get on and do this. And when it arrived, it was one of those awful situations where the first thing you hear is rattling inside the box. Yeah, that's not good sound. And there was damage to the side casing there, and I thought, oh no, that's a shame, but hopefully we can bond that piece in, only to realise subsequently that indeed the entire side had been smashed in transit. And it also, not only had it damaged the entire back casing, but the front had also been damaged. You can see that crack all the way through there and on the side, and it was just such a terrible shame, really. Now, the tape mechanism itself is actually quite noisy. There's some sort of issue with the circuitry, which I haven't diagnosed as yet. But the soft eject mechanism works. The radio sort of works. It all just needs a bit of a clean. And it just seemed a bit of a shame, really. Anyways, what I thought I'd like to do is treat myself, as it were, to another one. So I then found a second one online. And this one's kind of got the opposite, really, in some respects. The tape mechanism does seem to be quieter. The aerial tip is missing on that one, but of course we've got the original decent aerial on that one. This one's not quite as clean, but it's not damaged. There's a few scuffs and scratches, of course, but you can see I know which one of these two I'd rather have. So the plan for today really is just to have a bit of fun with it, rip them both apart, try and make a decent one out of the pair, and then see what we're left with. So let's get them open. So I'm just going to start with the smashed up one first. I've shaken the loose plastic out already, so there's nothing much else in there, hopefully. And I'm not going to mess about with these. Just going to be super quick, I think. Just get them apart. And the plan is really just to change the outer cases. It's a shame because the first unit I bought was actually in much better condition, but obviously it's no good. So that's 5. That one doesn't want to come out yet. Aha, I remember now. When this arrived, I did keep a lot of the bits of plastic to try and repair it. So I'll put them to one side. I probably never will get round to fixing it, but you know. Right, let's see what we've got then. Okay. More damage. That's why that screw wouldn't come out. Right, what have we got? Multi-plug. Now the cassette mechanism works on this one, but it doesn't work on the other one, so we'll switch those around. So for the second one, which is a shame because it is scratched on the back, but better to be scratched than smashed. So the tape works on this one. So it's basically the cassette mech. That's right, I need to save the cassette deck of this one and the aerial. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The screw's already missing out of this one, so someone's already been in here anyways. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. One there to come out, like so. Rightio, so now we've got 2 units. One is less broken on the outside, some damage, but the cassette door is broken. And then this one is broken on the side, which is a shame because overall it's in better condition, but at least the lid works. So I'm going to take the lid off of this, switch it round onto that one, that's right, and then put the whole thing back onto this once we've given it a bit of a service. Right, so we don't need either of these for a moment. Okay, so what's broken? Right, could it just be the spring? Ah, the spring is snapped. I get it. Righty-ho. So the little spring, weirdly, has snapped off. So the door itself might be okay, but the actual spring has snapped. Okay, so let's get this one off. So what we're going to try and do is just transplant this cassette door onto this front part. So we'll remove the gear like so. This one does look snapped off actually, it does look broken on the bottom. Aha, there we go. Right, so we pop that one out. I'll be super careful now. No idea how that came out. So yeah, so you can see that you may be able to see a broken tang. So we'll put that door to one side with the broken spring. Right, now that's interesting. The other spring wasn't broken, it had just been put in wrong. But unfortunately the cassette door tang is broken off, so that's not going to work anyways. Actually, we'll give this a clean over here first. What does that leave us with? Okay, there's the cassette door. So that's the front panel done. And we now no longer need this one. But I might just put it back together later just so that we know what we've got. Right, okay, so the broken unit is here. Which is pretty filthy, to be honest. Ah, okay, no wonder it was complaining so much. Broken tape in there. Pretty dirty all round, to be fair. It's filthy, but it's all right. we'll be okay. So we'll remove the antenna. Oh, what is it with these things? Broken bits. It's the same thing. It's the same part, I think, is broken on both units. Anyways, right. Let's see what we've got. We'll remove the antenna. Like so. We'll remove the more broken plastic. Remove the good antenna from this one. And put that in here. Actually, I might do that once we've given it all a clean, thinking about it. A lot of tape around this one. So I thought it probably easier just to bring you in here and see what on earth's going on with this this mess. It was all getting a bit out of hand, to be honest. So this was, or indeed is, the broken chassis, as you can see there, all smashed up on the corner and everything. But it does have really nice clean transport controls, and the handle is really nice. The chrome work is good. So the other one that's got the good plastics, the good plastic for the chassis, has got a pretty grotty handle there, and the tape mech, I have cleaned the actual transport buttons up a bit, but they're not nearly as nice as those ones. So then I thought, well, what I'll do is just move stuff around entirely. But then I remembered the old broken mechanism sounded really awful. Turns out it had loads of tape chewed up and the heads were filthy. So I've now just cleaned them. This is the stuff that's come off of the head and the pinch roller and stuff like that. So I have actually cleaned both of the tape mechanisms to the point where the heads are clean, the pinch roller and the capstan are clean. Obviously they're grubby and dirty inside. They still need a proper clean up here, look. But notwithstanding that, I think what we're going to do now is, instead, because we're going to end up changing the belts anyway, I think what I'm going to do is actually just switch the tape mechanisms out. As I say, the one that was broken chassis, the tape mech wasn't playing properly. It sounded atrocious. It was making all sorts of noises. But I've fixed that anyway. I've tested it by plugging it in here. And it does work now. So I'm going to actually sub this tape mech, which is off the broken one, into the decent condition one. I was going to change all of the boards, by the way. I was just going to take everything out and swap them round, and then it occurred to me as I was testing it and plugging the speakers back in that actually the connectors for the speakers are different. So then I would have been in a situation, in fact you can see them together here, even though they are the same model, the connector ends are different. So I'd have had to have desoldered all of the speakers and come out from around here and under the dial cord to get them out. Do the same on that one, switch them all back just to change the faceplate. So it all got a bit confusing and a bit muddled up, really. I've also got the new cassette door in, so you can see that that's working nicely. So yeah, so we're getting there. Also the aerials are out as well. So we'll, I mean, that's just one screw. That's dead easy because that one there's got the good tip on it. So we'll clean that one, polish that one up and put it on the good unit. So this is very convoluted and sort of confusing, but basically this aerial is going into the decent plastic chassis, which will have a good switch clean and everything else. I'm also I'm pinching the handle off of the broken one I'm taking the tape mechanism out of the broken chassis one and swapping that for that, servicing it, changing the belts, giving everything a good clean, and then we'll put it back together. So there we go. Very confusing and a bit of a bigger job than I was expecting, really, to be honest, because you don't expect things to be slightly less compatible when you open them up. But anyway, there we go, all good fun. So let's crack on. Okay, so we're on the chassis that we're going to keep. We're going to keep the radio board and all of that. So I am quickly going to just clean the switches a little bit. And just put a little bit of lubrication in there as well. The same for the potentiometers. Yep, hoping we can free those up. Okay, good. Okay, let's get this mech out. One screw. Oh, that earth was loose. Two screws. There should have been another one on the motor there, so I'm wondering, I think someone's been in here before and done a half-assed job on trying to clean this, you know. Right, what have we got? What do we know? Oh, don't tell me, because if the multi-plugs aren't compatible either, that's going to be a bit annoying. Right, 2 multi-plugs for the mech. But this time I'm going to make sure they're the same. Yeah, completely different boards. Darn it. Completely different boards. That's annoying. Yeah, the multi-plugs are different. In fact, looking at the numbers, a fair few things are different on here as well. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to switch that out then. That's a shame. Unless, of course, I can just remove the transport buttons anyway. Ah, right, okay. Just thought I'd get the handle out while I'm thinking about it. Sort of distracting myself a bit, but there we go. It's 2 of the easy jobs that I know I can win first. So we'll just pop that one out of there. Pop that one out of there. Would make sense to clean that whilst it's off, actually. But that being said, it's not too bad, so we'll clean it in situ. That'll be fine. Snap that in there. Snap that in there. And the handle's on. Okay, so that's that bit done. Right, let's look at this tape a minute. 1 screw, no motor connecting screw. So all we've got multi-plug on the side here. And that is us. This belt has completely had it. So I'm going to change that one. And also I'm just going to unscrew and replace all of these transport buttons and replace them with the nicer ones on the other unit. They look very similar. Just different plugs. Wiring is slightly different. Anyways, righty ho. So also just noticed the flywheel cover is missing from this one. That's weird. Why would that not be on there? That's very strange. I think I'm going to pinch that and put it on the other one. So, tiniest little spring, mind you. Right, that belt's had it. Bit of oil on the motor. It'll find its way in there. That's better already. Nice. Okay. Now why would that be missing? Why would that be missing its flywheel cover? That is weird. Right, okay. So just a couple of quick points here then. I was originally going to put this bearing plate sort of flywheel cover on and realised actually it's just a different revision of the deck. It doesn't seem to need anything. I mean, that float is holding itself and always would have done. And also just the return mechanism that acts on a small spring that way, whereas this one is, if I can find it through the camera, a larger spring that way. Now they are sort of retrospectively fittable. I think there are various mounting points for the springs, but I noticed that this one, whilst there's a slight indent in the screw post, where is it, just there, it's never had a screw in it, so it's not that somebody's taken it away, it's just a different revision of the deck. So I'm leaving it be, and you can see that although I'd already tried polishing up these old transport buttons, they really aren't very nice. So what I've done already is just gone ahead and removed them from this old one here, which, although it's a filthy unit, the actual buttons, as you can see, are significantly nicer, and so we'll get those on now. So even though I've cleaned up these old transport buttons, you can see how scuffed they are and not very nice, and onto the new ones. So it was worthwhile doing, that's for sure. I've also just put a new belt on there as well, so that's working nicely now. Plus I've put a bit of oil on the actual motor shaft as well. So yeah, it's all running beautifully now. I'm just going to get this mounted back in. I've also cleaned and lubed the array switch, the various bandwidth and function switches that are in there, and also the potentiometers as well. So we've just got, I think it's the volume and the tone just there. So that's all done. Basically now I'm just going to polish the handle, which is somewhere. There's one over there, another one somewhere, and also the aerials. There's a couple of aerials there, so there's one of those is a good one. I'll get that on, get it all back together. I almost forgot because I couldn't get one of the screws back in as I was putting it back together, and remember we had a broken post, so I've just put that back onto there, bonded that in, and I'll just let that set, and then we can get it all back together properly. So it's all back together now, and I just need to give it a clean. The internals are working fine, so I've also polished up the aerial just there, so that's ready to go on in a minute. But let's just get this cleaned up and we'll come back with the final reveal. So here is the RC-440 from JVC. I bought this to share with you guys on the channel as it's fairly interesting, quite an old beastie, and I thought it'd be nice to see what the inside was like. Now the example I bought, the radio didn't work, the cassette player didn't work, and the only redeeming feature it really had was that the outer casing was in quite nice cosmetic condition. So imagine my surprise stroke disappointment when it arrived smashed to smithereens and there were bits of plastic floating around in the box. So by which time it was cosmetically shattered, the radio didn't work and the tape didn't work. So I thought, well, fair enough, I'll buy another example. And then I found another one which had some redeeming features and others not so. So for example, it was in good condition as far as the casing was concerned. It wasn't smashed or anything. Unfortunately, the cassette door was broken, and so that didn't work. The transport controls were in good condition though. They were nice and chromed like that one, and not faded and worn like the originals that I had. But it did have a broken aerial. You can see the tip just there. So we embarked on a bit of a game of jiggery pokery, swapping out various components, taking the best aerial, switching out the transport buttons. I was originally going to change the actual mechanism, but it turned out that none of the multi-plugs for the tape mech or indeed the speakers were compatible with each other's boards. So that became a bit of pinching the best bits that we could and servicing the others. So whilst I was in there anyway, I've changed the belts on both units. I've also cleaned and lubricated the switches. I've cleaned the heads, the capstan, the pinch rollers, everything really. So one is really still just for spares, and we have a finished one here. Oh, by the way, the handle is also a replacement from the second unit as well. So what have we got then? We've basically got the original unit's innards, which have now been serviced, including the tape mech and the switches. We've got the new casing, front and rear, but we have the original cassette door. We've got the original aerial, which has been transplanted onto the new case. We've got the new transport buttons transplanted onto the old mech. So it's all become a bit of a, so they say. So anyway, without further ado, let's just check that it does work. So if we put this onto radio now and turn this up a bit, there we go.
You want a Mackay?
And you can hear actually, let me just,
Correct, if you would like to,
there are so many channels, it's actually a really good radio.
Last 20 odd.
There are just so many different stations on here that it's actually a really nice radio. So the other switches, by the way, the other wavelengths, they work nicely, and there's no crack or pop between those because they've all been cleaned. So if we just look at the tape now, again, the power switch doesn't make a tiniest bit of crackle in between. So we'll play that now with the new shiny transport buttons, and we'll just get some volume on. There we go. Stop, fast forward, stop, rewind, stop, play. Fantastic. So that all now works. So if we just turn it around, you see the rear of the unit. Really not in bad condition. Pretty clean and tidy, to be fair, and it's not broken or anything like that. So that's really cool. So there we go. That one's all finished and in remarkably good condition considering the broken bits we had to start with. But what became of the spare one? Well, that's here as well. We do have the original cassette door, which may or may not be fixable at some point. But again, if we just put the radio on and turn it up a bit, and that's working really well as well. So put it onto tape now. I'll just hold this in to be on the safe side. Play. So that one's playing nicely now. It also stops, rewinds, fast forwards, and that's all tickety-boo. So there we go. So that one does work, but it's just going to be a source of spares now. I think maybe use some chips or something out of there if we want them. But it's all there. It is all sort of working, and it's just what it is really. But not a total loss, considering that we had two completely broken ones. We've managed to really get these in a situation where we've got one that's actually really quite presentable and fully functional, and the other one which actually isn't the worst thing in the world. We still have the broken parts that we could glue and try and restore this back corner, but to be honest, these aren't that valuable. I probably won't invest any more time in it. This was just more of a bit of a fun exercise, just have a poke around and see what these more modern JVC units look like. I say modern, these are probably what, mid to late 80s, and when you look at some of the really awesome old stuff, you know, the M70s, 60s, 80s, 90s, 9475s, 828s, 838s, 717s. I mean, they were just tanks and they were built to last. They were amazing. Whereas these things, you can tell they were definitely done on a budget. The innards are very, very flimsy. The cassette mechs are only held on at diagonal opposing corners. There's only 2 screws holding the cassette mech in and stuff like that. Just generally, they're quite flimsy, really plasticky and cheap, and just not nearly as nice actually as the earlier models. But I guess that was progress. You know, times were changing, costs were being cut, and that was what happened. But anyway, there we go. So that's the JVC RC-440. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe and hit the notifications bell for updates. We've got loads of personal stereos, we've got 8 tracks, we've got boomboxes galore that we're working on. So do check some of those out in some of my other videos. And in the meantime, stay safe and I'll be back soon. All the best for now. Bye bye.